Welcome. This is a bit of a different episode. This is just an episode to send out a massive thank you. A huge heartfelt thank you to all of my listeners. The podcast has reached 10,000 downloads, and I'm so excited and so grateful. And so, just wanted to express my gratitude. And I often wonder who listens, what you receive, all that kind of magic. But it was never part of my plan to have a podcast. It was maybe a couple years down the road kind of thing. And then last November, with the Scorpio new moon, as I was tending to a broken heart, it dropped in to start a podcast, and it was the softest, subtlest message. And I listened and started recording episodes and released it that January. And I have to say that I just followed my heart in doing the podcast, in recording the episodes, but it was my medicine through my own dark night of the soul. That last winter was the darkest winter of my life. And so going through massive heartbreak in a tiny house in the rolling hills of De Winton in the coldest winter in Canada, in the middle of the mandates when the unjabbed weren't allowed to participate in society. And so it was a really dark winter, not being able to participate in society. And the podcast became my medicine, because I got to have these really powerful, transformational conversations with really inspiring humans, most of them my friends. And so it was my medicine. And I'm so, so grateful and happy that it's become your medicine and that it is touching all of you who are listening. And so, Phoenix Rising, I had always thought when I did have a podcast, years down the road, it would be called something like The Dream Weaver, all about manifestation and creating. And as I went through my last dark night of the soul, I was like, that's not what this healing path is about. It's not all love and light. It's not all manifestation. It is really going into the underworld and excavating and rising from those ashes. And so I just knew when that seed dropped in that it couldn't all be about love and light, that it really had to dive into the process of death and destruction and excavation, and really going into those dark places, into the shadows, to ultimately come into your true essence and who you are. And so Phoenix popped in, and Phoenix actually stems from my dad, who his business in the oil field was called Phoenix. And he was medically injured at a young age. He had a needle that was dirty, and it stopped the growth in one of his legs. And so one of his legs was considerably shorter than the other through his life. And so he went through a lot of adversity with that. He lived in a children's hospital for quite a long time. And so his business was called Phoenix Data Line, and it was in the oil field. Because he saw that in his life, kind of a lot of odds against him, and he was incredibly successful. And so that Phoenix is a tribute to him as he's passed. And when I was thinking about the name, I sat with it and I was like, oh, it's, that was so much about his life, but he also brought into the world a daughter whose life has literally been the Phoenix, the death and the rebirth over and over again. And I think, when we choose the healing path, we'll say, which is definitely a choice, it is a path of the Phoenix rising and descending and rising over and over again, to alchemize and come into a place that is who we truly are. And so, that I just wanted to share, that's where the name stems from. And a way for me to carry him in this life as he's passed on. And so thank you all so much for listening. The podcast is literally my deepest honor. I love it so much. And I had a dream a couple of months ago that Joe Rogan who was on my podcast. And so you never know. You never know what could happen. A girl can dream, right? But anyway, sending you all so much love, 10,000 downloads. I'm so grateful and excited to carry on this journey with the podcast with you.